How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Friday, June 21st, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys are doing great. Good to be here with all of you on this first of two full moons in Capricorn. So, I really feel Pluto over the past 14, 15 years so strongly in these sets of full moons that we're going to have here in Cancer season. So this first one that we're going to have happening at 1 degrees of Cancer here. We had the summer solstice yesterday. We're still in the window of the solstice, but, having a full moon during that moment is very unique, and I think it's very special. But I also think it's connected to Pluto in Capricorn, because this full moon is anticipating this retrograde of Pluto back into Capricorn here at 29 degrees. And why I think that is because the second full moon that we're going to have on the last day of Cancer season is going to be at 29, where Pluto is going to retrograde back to for good, for the last time. With Pluto going direct, being in Capricorn, going into Aquarius for the next 20 years, and we will never see Pluto in Capricorn again. And I really feel that over these next 30 days in this full moon cycle, we're going to be closing out the past 14, 15 years and really reflecting on the past 14 years with Pluto in Capricorn and what it's been, how our lives have transformed, how we've transformed internally, how our unconscious state has become more aware through Pluto cycles, because that's how Pluto cycles tend to work is, going through a Pluto transit, it's always extreme, whether it's in a positive way or a negative way, it's always extreme, no matter what. So we as a collective and on an individual level have gone through such a transformation on a spiritual level that's connected to our physical reality and our idea of what God and divinity and our destiny truly is, which is what Capricorn is all about, and what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to be in the world, and what we're supposed to build and create and the legacy that we're going to leave behind. So these full moons are going to really open up this reflective state of being able to look at what that has been for us. Because this is us closing out that chapter of Pluto in Capricorn, I think, for good. But also looking ahead over these next 6 months as Pluto moves into 29 degrees of Capricorn and goes direct, and then all the things that we're about to go through in the fall and the winter time. It's also giving us the fact that these full moons, especially this first full moon that we're having today, is really giving us a reflection on the past, right? And as we get to the second full moon, it's like internally, unconsciously, on an emotional level, we may be stirring the pot and really looking at the past, the past 15 years. But the second full moon is when we're going to start to get a glimpse of what these next final 6 months are going to be with Pluto and Capricorn and what that can really look like. And we already can feel it. We can already intuit what that's going to be on a collective level, especially. We can see it. We can see that this is the moment where, people get desperate. It's like, fuck, some people might really rise up and say, fuck, I didn't do enough. I didn't put in the work. I didn't, follow through with my divine path, or I didn't get as high as I wanted to go, right? So Pluto coming back into Capricorn is going to be that last moment where people are going to have this push of this is my moment. This is my final attempt, an opportunity to really get to that place, and for some of us too, especially in the spiritual community, I really believe that, I honestly could say that most of us who are probably here, we weren't where we are at spiritually or on a level of how awakened we are or deprogrammed we've, become through that awareness. I think most of us could probably say in 2008 and 2011, when Neptune went to Pisces, that that level of awareness and more expanded perspective of truth and the harsh reality of things with Pluto and Capricorn, because Pluto and Capricorn is about that harsh reality, So being able to look at that and reflect upon that is so important with this full moon, to know what's to come over these next 6 months and moving into Pluto and Aquarius, because it is like these two worlds are overlapping and Pluto moves so slow. So it is like when Pluto is like on the 29-degree mark and the 0-degree mark and it's retrograding, like that's a 3-year process, just about. Almost a 2 full-year process of actually Pluto moving into a sign for good. So I think us being able to reflect on this full moon of how we've evolved and how we've transformed can really be beneficial towards what the next 6 months are going to be when we get to the full moon in Cancer, because by the time we get to the full moon in Cancer, Pluto's going to be ready to move back into Capricorn or back into Aquarius for good. So it's ironic that we're having this Capricorn full moon in Cancer season where Pluto, and these full moons in Capricorn, crossing these degrees where Pluto's been for the past 15 years, and also Pluto coming back to that spot for the last time, but also in December, it is kind of ironic that when we have the Cancer full moon, that Pluto's going to be right at that edge of coming back into Aquarius for good. I think that's pretty serendipitous and very meaningful. So to me, these Capricorn full moons are really highlighting Pluto. We're gearing up for this Mars-Uranus conjunction that's impending here. Mercury's leading the way. So, our minds and our emotions are really connected right now with Mercury and Cancer. And we have to let our instincts and our intuition really guide the way at this moment, and with Mercury and Cancer, it is always reminding ourselves that it's like, we don't want to get too caught up in the thoughts or over analyzing things, because that's when we can bypass those instincts and that emotion that really can bring us to a really new and exciting place of, not trying to control things, because that's what Pluto and Aquarius has kind of been, for me personally, experiencing that vibration, is that with Pluto and Aquarius, it has seemed more like, I'm willing to try some new thing. Yeah, like, let's see how this plays out. Like, let's dive right in, see what the outcome's going to be, right? Very Aquarius, very experimental. Right? With Pluto and Capricorn, it's always like feeling like you have to hold things up and, things fall away, and then you got to like rebuild it, and you got to control this and you got to control that. And you get into these very unconscious states of control, and, working through that has been very pressurizing. Pluto is very pressurizing, and Capricorn is heavy, being ruled by Saturn. These are Saturn-ruled full moons. So Saturn's about to go retrograde. Neptune's about to go retrograde. And Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, that's where reality and fantasy meet, and the non-physical and the physical world meet, is here in Pisces with Saturn. And with Neptune preparing to come retrograde, that this is that very high spiritual vibration of, where we get lost in the fantasy, or we get lost in, lost in the sauce. Like, it is with these full moons, like, we're going to start to see, the more fantasy or the delusion start to dim a little bit as Saturn and Neptune slow down and get ready to go retrograde, because this is a Saturnian ruled full moon. So these full moons are going to start to really bring reality into focus in ways that we haven't seen in a minute, right? Because we've been lucky enough to have all of the first half of 2024 pretty much with all the outer planets direct, and this is too with these full moons. It's really like, look back at the hard work that we've done really since the end of Sagittarius season and Capricorn season, and these first 6 months of this year. It's like, look at the hard work that you put in. Look at the results that we've seen, with Jupiter and Taurus and the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and that giving us an image of what the future is going to look like on a level of our basic needs in our life, and how we're expanding and breaking our routine and our habits, and breaking the tradition of the program of how we should be secure in life, or how we were supposed, kind of foods we're supposed to eat, right? Like, more people are starting to take radical shifts of how they sustain their lives, but that's ultimately what's helping us expand to a more independent way of living, which is what Uranus and Taurus really wants to help us get to. So, with these full moons in Capricorn, it's looking at the foundation that we've laid with Pluto and Capricorn, looking at the foundation that we've laid and the work and the effort that we've put in and the mountains that we've climbed over the past 15 years. And definitely through this last trek of the first half of 2024, and what, these next 6 months are going to be, and giving us a glimpse of what Pluto and Aquarius is going to be. Because it's funny, because all of a sudden, on the news and stuff, and we're seeing all kinds of alien talk again, right? But at the same time, there's so much Capricorn political shit going on, and it's just like these two worlds, this Capricorn Aquarian world, the deepest, most intense shit about the two, archetypes. Like, it's like those two worlds are like really intertwined right now. And so it is like us, these full moons, like us becoming more aware that we're about to re-enter that Capricorn vibration again, and getting ready to close it out, right? And being on top of the mountain, and being where you're at, and being able to look across the horizon and, see how things have changed, see how things have transformed through this Pluto cycle, but at least now we have perspective. And I think when Pluto moves back into Capricorn, and the second full moon in Capricorn, and we're going to have it 29 degrees, we're going to feel like we have a much more bird's eye view of this transformation that we've collectively gone through. Sometimes we think we do, especially with Neptune at 29 degrees. It's like, sometimes we think we can have perspective, but then some new reality sets in, and then we realize that we didn't, right? And this is Neptune that will sextile that 29 degree full moon mark. And that will be sextiling Pluto when Pluto comes back to 29 degrees. So it is like Saturn, being the ruling planet of Capricorn, Pluto coming back here, and Neptune and Pisces, and its ruling planet. It's like that physical world that we've had to restructure and metamorphosize and rebuild and recreate and climb the mountain again. This is all connected to our dreams and our subconscious, and being able to project that idealized, or what always seems to be some fantastical version of what we want our physical reality to look like. But Neptune is helping Pluto really stay in that frequency of understanding that, we can't break past the wall of our 3D reality, but having faith and trusting and doing what we're supposed to do in our 3D Saturnian world, and knowing that and trusting that and following through and committing to that in a very Capricorn way, and full-blown commitment, and going about it in an honest way, that's when all of the most amazing, beautiful things start to show up in our lives, and I think whenever we see Neptune here, and it's going to meet with Pluto, and they're going to be supporting each other for the last time. At least Pluto gets to go out of Capricorn with some help, right? With some support, with some spiritual support, because we kind of need that. Pluto and Capricorn has been fucking tough. It's easy if you're willing to play the game and fucking, be willing to build. You know, it's not easy when you get caught in the emotions, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, get caught in the victim or the woe is me. And then because Capricorn, it's just like, I ain't got no time for sensitivity or feelings right now, you know, and especially if you know people born with the moon in Capricorn. It's like, yeah, they're a little bit more harsher than the average person. So I just really feel like that's what these full moons are, is this closing out of Pluto and Capricorn, but also being able to see and get a taste of what the final Pluto and Capricorn is going to be like. You know, even though we already can kind of feel it. So, yeah, really closing out that cycle. We got the Lover's card. Interesting. And this is very, very significant towards this Venus, because Venus just conjunct with the sun, it conjunct with all the personal planets and Jupiter. I mean, you know, I think staying in that place of being able to be in a balanced, the most balanced version of yourself, you know, I feel like whenever we are, you know, always striving to be balanced, that's when we can emit that positive frequency of being able to love. Because sometimes when you get into, you know, that very Capricorn kind of, you know, grumpy place, you know, you always need some other source of energy to reflect back to you of like, hey, you know, there is another side of whatever kind of heaviness you're feeling. Like there's always two sides to the story, you know, and we have a choice, you know, to remain where we're at or make a change. And Mars in Uranus is going to be shocking us to make a big change over this next month. And this is going to be one of the most intense transits of the year. But, you know, with the Lover's card here on this full moon, I really feel it's like being able to be more balanced in our life, because when things get out of balance, and I definitely think with Pluto and Capricorn, it was very easy to get out of balance, right? Where it's like, you know, I'm on my mission. I'm going up my own mountain. I'm climbing my own mountain. You know, I may or may not come back, you know, and whether you like it or not, sorry, it's just the way it is. Like, this is just the way reality is. This is what we're supposed to do. This is what, you know, my destiny and the divine is calling me to do. So, yeah, I think it's just staying in that balanced framework as much as possible to attract and emit as much love as we possibly can through this massive transformation that we are closing out, and this next collective Aquarian transformation that we're about to move into. But these full moons are closing out the past 15 years as we move into the final moment of what that's good. It's like the final boss battle. Pluto moving back into Capricorn for the last time. And these full moons really kind of, you know, at least it's not some sneak attack, right? At least with these full moons are giving us a blueprint on how to handle it and how to be prepared for it, you know. And transformations are not easy. Pluto transits are not easy, you know. Full moons that are involved with Pluto are not the easiest. So, and, you know, honestly, these full moons aren't necessarily at this moment connected with Pluto, but it is Pluto that's going to be crossing these same areas, that has crossed these same areas since 2008. That is, you know, what I really feel, why I feel it's so important. And this is the last moment, in that the fact that these two full moons are crossing that whole area, the entire field, right? Not one part of the field is going to be missed. You know, it's like, oh, you missed a spot. It's like, no, these full moons are covering the whole package. So anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful full moon. My reading sale's ending today, so if you do want to hop on it, there are 2 slots left. So feel free to join me. And the link to my booking website is in the description of this video, along with all of my social media platforms, everything else, all that kind of good stuff. And if you are new here, like this video, share this video, comment, say what's up, subscribe to my channel, all that good stuff. So happy first Capricorn full moon, and I will see you guys for the weekend. Peace.